Well, I've been in Sweden 4 days now, and currently in a mall. Everybody's just kind of naturally socially distanced. Happy to report I found my first mask. I found somebody actually wearing a mask, but only one person. The rest of the mall is completely unmasked. It was one older woman. Let's see how distanced out everybody is here. Just natural social distancing. We are currently heading towards the ferries, heading out to the island Björkö, which you can see directly straight ahead there. Gonna go get some pizza. Getting on the ferry now. As you can see, there's no staff, just a bunch of lights up here. Tells you which lanes to go in. Pretty straightforward. Once the lane fills up, they'll tell people to go into a different lane. Pretty civilized boarding system here in Sweden. They are opening it back up for one car who showed up a little bit late. We'll let the other cars on. Now they're closing up. Very different than North America, for those not familiar. In North America, if you try and get on, there's a huge number of staff members and telling you exactly what to do and a bunch of safety precautions. Here, they just kind of do it. Head to that island over there. Another ferry over there going to a different island. Getting off the ferry, largely the same system. Green lights mean you get off. Again, nobody to tell you what to do. Interesting thing about this island, there are literally no cops on it, and every time a cop shows up, the entire island tells each other. So apparently it's got a pretty high rate of drunk driving compared to the rest of Sweden. Just got to the downtown area of the island Björkö. Interesting thing about Sweden, they actually have the most islands of any country in the world, with about 270,000. And about 17% of their population lives on one. Kebab pizza. Another interesting fact about Sweden, they've got something called Allemansrätt, which is the idea that everybody has the right to essentially go anywhere. So you can walk across other people's private property as long as it's not farmland. If it's farmland, you can still walk on it as long as you're not damaging crops. And you can also put a tent up pretty much anywhere in the country. If somebody lives there and they're near you, you have to not be in sight of their house, and you have to dig a hole for your poop. But other than that, yeah, you can kind of go wherever you want. Kind of an interesting concept. Similar in Scotland a little bit. Not quite the same, but very similar concept. Old lighthouse. In the very far distance, right around there, you can actually see Marstrand, where it was a few days ago. And then there's actually another castle right here. Don't know what that is. Looks like they had a perimeter of castles in the area. In downtown Gothenburg City today. Founded in 1621. Behind me is the courthouse. This is the guy who founded Gothenburg City. He stood up on a mountain a couple hundred years ago and pointed down here. Said we should build a city there. Well, pointed at a swamp. So they built the city in a swamp. Lots of canals, as you can see over there. Where they get the water out of it, as it's a swamp. Over there you can see a monument to all the coronavirus victims here in Sweden. They have one iron flower for everybody who's died. Well, that boat over there used to be a bar, but it's taken on water, and it's done it so many times in the past, the fire brigade essentially has refused to help them again, so it's just sinking now. Trams all over the city. 400th birthday of the city. This is the main bar area of the city. It's called the Avenue. Stretches down. Public toilets. They're pretty common in the country. More statues of the guy that made the city. This is an anti-ISIS monument here in Sweden. Hello from Gothenburg Airport. Got a very long day of travel today. Starting off by flying from here to Paris, Paris to LA, and then LA to Seattle on 2 different tickets. So flying Air France on the way to LA, and then I switched tickets and flying Delta to Seattle. So very long day of travel. 22 hours or something, but is what it is. Free upgrade to Air France European business, which just means I'm in front of a curtain. No other difference. Off the first flight today, Gothenburg to Paris, pretty much just slept the whole way, unfortunately. Transferring in Charles de Gaulle is always terrible. Say, you have to go through security no matter what, a bunch of other stuff. It's particularly bad when it's an hour long, so lots of fun. Luckily, there was no line at exit customs for European Union, so I'm very, very likely to make my flight at this point. Still have to take a train and go through security, but not gonna miss it, I think. I have 30 minutes left. Yeah, connecting here at Charles de Gaulle is always kind of a pain, because you have to, no matter where you're coming from, you have to go through security. And you got to take a train pretty much every time you enter or exit the European Union, because there's so many different terminals. So it's just kind of less pleasant. I actually avoid it when I can. Go through Schiphol instead. Amsterdam. It's another SkyTeam hub. Air France and KLM are actually the same company. So, yeah. Unfortunately, the flight that I took from LA just made a lot more sense to come through France. So, you know, if the price is right, I'll still come to Charles de Gaulle. Don't like it here, though. Not the nicest airport. Well, apparently they've changed things in the last year and a half. I actually got to skip security. Apparently they built a bridge from arrivals that allows you to actually go directly into the secure area. So that's a positive change. Absolutely hate that the European airports are pretty much shopping malls, as you'll see here. To get to your gate, you get to walk past all the shopping stuff. Even if the gate's right there, you know, if it's like should be a 3-minute walk, you still have to walk through the entire shopping area. In premium economy this time, didn't bother paying for the upgrade. I don't mind if I'm a bit more sleepy on the way back. I have almost a day to recover once I get to Seattle. Back in LA, Tom Brady. Got a flight to Seattle in about an hour and a half. Fortunately, Air France lost my bag, so I get to go to Air France check-in and try and get them to send it to Seattle, since I'm flying on a separate plane ticket. Not quite sure how well that's going to work, but we will find out. So. Well, I made it through security now. I Ended up going to the check-in desk to report my bag lost, and the staff there was a bit rude. They said I should have done it at baggage claim, which they told me not to do. So, got in a little bit of an argument with them. Eventually, they realized that I wasn't staying in LA and I was actually leaving to Seattle, and so I needed to actually have them mail it to me. So they eventually had me fill out a form and said they'll mail it to me at some point. I'm pretty sure it's just on the next flight. Air France has 2 flights a day to LA. I'm pretty sure it's already on the next flight. So we get here in a few hours, but I only have an hour until my next flight, so it doesn't really work well for me. On the plus side, they gave me a bunch of free stuff. Once they realized it wasn't crazy, after a little argument, they gave me free t-shirts and toiletries, just like, you know, toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of stuff. So, very nice of them, actually. It's a few days on now. Made it back to my house in Seattle, totally no problems. They delivered my bag about a day later. Yeah, it was actually on that next Air France flight. It just got delayed, so no issues there. I'm actually already on my next trip. So I'll see you in the next episode.